You. All right.
I'm Hill Gamer, and this is the breakdown. What? Hey, everybody! Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the breakdown. What? I'm your host, Catherine, aka The High Heel Gamer, and today we're breaking down the Sunstroms. And I have with me today Jean Willoughby II. Hi, Jean.
How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you so much for appearing. I don't know why, my voice is super high pitched. I'm excited. So I'm super high pitched. It's going
That's
really
cool.
good. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
So this is a big moment for you. You've got a Kickstarter going. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. The Kickstarter really came about just because of COVID and everything that's going on. It's really stopped us from doing the shows that we were doing in the past. And so now I had to come up with an idea to really do some things online. Kickstarter was one of those avenues. What I wanted to do after the Sunstroms novel was to do smaller stories with those characters, and the comic book series would be perfect for that. And so I decided I wanted to do 5 issues, and then the larger goal is to have those 5 issues collected into a hardcover volume. And so we did a Kickstarter for the first issue, and that started almost 2 weeks ago. So it's still new, and we're still looking for more support, and that's where we are at this point.
How exciting. I'm so excited about it. So this is not a continuation of the previous book that you had released, or is this?
It is a continuation.
Okay.
You'll follow these characters after the events of the book. And so you see them as their own team, a little bit more confident than they were in the last book. But you get to see some smaller things happen. This comic book is about the day that they get ready to open up a wing of a middle school. They've done this big grant, and they've gotten together with the leaders of the school to kind of form a science building or science wing on their campus. And of course, since we're dealing with superheroes, all mayhem just ensues after that. And so that's what's happening.
Now, is each book going to be its own separate one-shot story for each character, or is this going to be a continuation story throughout each of the books?
It'll be its own standalone story. They will not really spotlight one character. I'm trying to get the whole team in there. But there's going to be some connective tissue between each book. There'll be standalone, but there'll also be some continuation.
Okay. For those of you that might have missed my wonderful interview with Jean, shame on you. Go back and watch it. But real quick, tell us about the Sunstroms.
Okay, the Sunstrom starts out as a book about a family of superheroes that lose both parents. The oldest son, Sam Sunstrom, he's forced to come home, get his siblings together, and they form a team to take over where mom and dad left off. What they don't know is they've inherited all of their parents' lifestyle, which means they're enemies too. And that's what makes their life a lot more dangerous. They deal with these super assassins in the first book, and also this cosmic machinery that their dad had his hands in that comes back to haunt everybody. So that was what the first book was about. They also have a brother who is estranged from the family in the first book, who causes them a lot of problems too.
So I will have the pleasure of having the first book, and it's
right.
You know me, I'm like a super fan.
Yeah.
I'm like, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? There was a point where I felt like I was annoying you because of the next one.
No, never that.
But you also do all the art for these comics.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your art history.
Art history. I've been drawing since preschool. My dad always talks about how I'll come up to him with this stuff scribbled on the page, and he tried to act like he knew what it was, And so even, back then, I would draw in class all the time, sometimes get in trouble because I wasn't paying attention, drawing on the back of tests and stuff like that, and so that was me growing up. I always loved comics, made my own comics. I remember I I would do G.I. Joe comics in the 4th or 5th grade and staple the notebook paper together, things like that. So I was always doing it. Didn't really think it was a serious thing I was doing until I got older. And what really got me into everything was I took a screenwriting class at ECU when I was kind of trying to figure things out as far as what I wanted to do. I just took a class, and that was a screenwriting class, and that really propelled me because the teacher told me that I knew what I was doing, and he said, "You're really good at this," and I was like, all that stuff that I was doing as a kid, you got this guy in college telling you that, it's really good, and so that kind of made me say, "Hey, I want to write," and so I started writing stories. I ended up at Full Sail in their program, and did a whole comic script for a graphic novel as my thesis, and I just started from there.
Yeah, we share that Full Sail. Well, I'm almost a Full Sail alumni. I got 85 days and I'm there.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we do share that Full Sail alma mater. So how important?
You've been working hard. If you got 85 days left, you've been working hard.
And I'm graduating with honors too. What? I know.
Right.
It's a long time coming. Thank you. It's a long time coming. We all have our different paths in life. But how much did that positive influence mean to you? Like, a lot of times people say things without realizing whether it's going to have a positive or negative effect on a person. How did that, carry you through?
It meant a lot because comics and just storytelling itself, it was very important to me growing up, but I always thought it was something that, you don't do that as a career, it's just something you have fun doing, but to have a professional, a person who's had their work published, sit down and tell you, hey, you need to come back and take my night class because, you're really good at this and you're kind of natural with it. That meant a lot, and it really was the thing that pushed me out the door.
Now, your Clark Kent job, you're a teacher as well. How, I always forget, do your students know about the Sunstorms? I'm pretty sure you said you have posters up in your class, right?
Yeah, I have posters up in my classroom right now. I'm teaching remotely. And so it's a little bit more difficult to get those things in because when we were in the classroom, kids would just say, hey, who did this? And I'd be like, that'll be me. And it would open up a whole conversation. But, now that we're online and trying to work through that, it's just enough trying to get everybody's assignments done.
I know that's right. I'm trying to teach 4th grade math. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 4th grade math is the worst thing in human history. Like, I can't even begin to deal. But I'm pretty sure you pay it forward as well, trying to encourage these kids to pursue their goals, whether it is in comic book writing or being a doctor, because now I feel like nowadays, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm not a teacher. Yeah. I feel like nowadays those professions are more acceptable, being a comic book writer or artist, working in the gaming industry, not so much the streaming element of it, but like graphic design and stuff like that. Whereas when we were growing up, it was doctor, lawyer, housewife.
And what I found was that kids now, they know more about the business side of it. They know more about the career side. And so before we went virtual, the year before, Eastern Wayne had a program called Fast Forward, where kids could go to different stations and learn things that they wanted to learn. And I had some kids coming to me for comic book art and things like that. And I was surprised how many of them actually knew like some of the basics that the pros use, and they would want to talk to me about it and, start some good conversations. And so kids definitely, like you said, they know more about that side, and the fact that you can actually do it as a job than we did growing up.
Yeah. So how did your idea of the Sunstorms come about?
Just the fact that I always loved the Ninja Turtles and the fact that they were brothers, so to speak. And and I kind of tuned into that family dynamic, and then I started looking at my family that I grew up with, other families that I have been around, and just thinking it would be interesting to have those dynamics that happen between siblings as a superhero team. And so the story kind of took itself from that.
Is Sunstrom the only baby you have, or do you have like other projects that are waiting in the wings?
Yeah, I've got a few other projects waiting. Kind of focusing on Sunstroms right now, but I've got a monster book I want to do. I've got another superhero book I want to do, and so just trying to find the time to really get everything designed and scripts written and things like that. That's kind of where I'm at.
So the Sunstroms Kickstarter, you said started about 2 weeks ago. How long is it running for?
It's running until March the 5th. March the 5th. Get it out. March the 5th.
March the 5th.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you the longest Kickstarter ever.
Right? You're making sure you get funded.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. March the 5th will be the end date.
Okay,
yeah.
March the 5th. I think that's pretty exciting. This is the first time you're using Kickstarter?
Yes. It's my very first one. I just kind of wanted to get my toe in the water to see what it was like, because I've seen other people do it, and me not knowing as much about it, I just kind of wanted to do one to see, is this an avenue that's going to be good for the rest of my books, and I've enjoyed it so far.
And it's like you said, unfortunately, we're not able to do conventions, which a lot of us use to, get the word around, and it brings us revenue as well. So Kickstarter would be, the place to go and stuff like that. How hard was it to come up with like the reward for the Kickstarter? Like, because you got some really good rewards. Like I've seen some basic stuff, but you've got really good rewards.
Well, thank you. One of the things that helped us out was we were already taking some of this stuff to tables already. The bookmarks are brand new, and the hoodie is brand new. And also the cups are brand new, but a lot of the shirts, the t-shirts, and some of the other things that we had available, the source book, the novel, of course, we already had that. So I kind of had a basis for merchandise that I already had that I could really kind of mass produce and do this for the Kickstarter.
I was gunning for the cup, but I literally have no more room for cups. Like that's not an exaggeration. Well, I literally have no more rooms for cups.
There's really, you really can't have too many cups.
That's what I keep saying. I'm like, we will find room for the cups, but it's 2 against 1 in this house right now. Okay. I went with the bookmarks because I'm addicted to books.
Okay.
So the bookmarks, I can safely store those.
Yeah, and with that, I was kind of hoping, because I have a bunch of books in my house and I love bookmarks, and I thought that would be something people like, and it turns out that's been a popular item. So
yeah, well, I mean, one, it looks amazing. It's got your artwork on it. For those of you that may not have seen the bookmarks, it has some of the characters on on the surface. I'm excited because I just believe you shouldn't use the same bookmark over and over again. You should have a variety. So I'm like excited. I'm of that belief.
Yeah, okay. Who uses the same bookmark over and over?
Exactly. You don't. You have to have different bookmarks for different books, and that's the bottom line of it. What is your favorite item that you're rewarding people on the Kickstarter with?
My favorite item, I actually like there's a super set that I did where you get the new comic book, you get the novel, the original novel, and you also get the source book along with the bookmarks. And that was like, I did that for just readers, because it just gives you everything publishing wise from the Sunstroms at the same time.
Now that you said it, that's what my husband's gunning for. That's what Zach's gunning for, is the source book. He wants that source book so bad. And I was like, I've already done my pledge. Step up your game and do your pledge. So don't be surprised if on Friday he pledges on payday.
Well, good.
That's what he's after, is the source book. Can you tell us a little bit about the source book?
Yeah, the source book just came from, I try to always look at what did I enjoy when I was coming up and what got me into comics and everything. And one of the biggest things to me was in Marvel Universe handbooks, you used to be able to get out of the drugstore. And because that my cutting grass money was comic book money, so when I got done, run me down here to the drugstore and I picked my stuff out, and there was always a new Marvel Universe handbook. I always loved just reading like I won't say it this way, but just useless information about all these characters. I would love reading that, and because a lot of times as a kid, you couldn't buy all of the books.
Yeah.
And so you were exposed to characters that you weren't, like if you were just reading Spider-Man, and you would get exposed to these X-Men characters and Fantastic Four and all that. So I love that kind of encyclopedic knowledge of those characters. And so I did that for the Sunstrom's novel. I put together a source book for the characters that were in that book.
I thought that was such a cool idea. It gives insight to these characters that, eventually you will get to know the characters through the books and stuff. But for right now, it gives you nice little tidbits on them and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. You're always hard at work, and you're always displaying your, your in progress work. Is that more for like motivation for yourself or accountability? I've always been interested in, because not a lot of people tend to do that. So I was wondering, why do you do it?
Yes, and yes, I do it for accountability. I also do it for motivation. When I can look back and say I've done something for the day, it keeps me going, because you don't want to ever feel like nothing's getting done. Mm-hmm. And also, I want people to see this stuff so bad, and so if I can't
keep people like me at bay, like, look, it's coming. It's like, I hear you. It's on its way.
But since I can't release something every day, I can at least show you, okay, I got this panel done today, or I got these pencils or these inks, or I was writing this today. It kind of keep everybody in the loop to see what's going on.
Now, I wouldn't be a super fan if I didn't mention Mrs. Willoughby.
All right.
Who is I'm sorry, Jane, she's one of my favorites. She is so supportive of you. She is your number one cheerleader. What does that mean, having like that strong of a presence and that strong of a love in your corner?
That means everything, to be honest with you, because when you can have a person like in your same house that says whatever you need to do it, and when you get done, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops with you. And we're shoulder to shoulder in Hammer Blam, and I tell her all the time, you're the best partner I could possibly have in this, because she just has my back 110%.
Yeah,
and
it's no disrespect to you, but like when you said shout it from the rooftop, I feel like she shouts louder than you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing with us, is that I tend to be more reclusive and kind of more introverted, and she's like the exact opposite of that. And I need that part when it comes to getting the word out,
Yeah, and let me just tell you, she is the best cheerleader to have in your corner, because she wears the merch, she travels with you, and like I said, she shouts it from the rooftop louder.
and she's responsible for my table when we do shows. A lot of people come by the table and it's like, this looks nice. She came up with that whole setup, so I really have to give her, her props on that.
Yeah, because I've seen her. I didn't know she set up your table, but I always see her every convention day. She's with you, unless she might be for whatever reason under the weather, which I think happened once. But I noticed because she's always there, you know what I mean? And I think
she gets it in, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing to have someone with such dedication to not only you, but to the project and love that you have for comic books. That's a testament to her, and I have to give her props, because
absolutely.
I saw the little traveling that you guys did. I think it was to the library, because they had like some type of event going on.
Well, no, it was they've got this thing now where they're letting you get some digital materials, they've got a room opened up, and you can go in there for entrepreneurs. You can book this room and take all pictures of your merchandise, and you can get some really nice pictures because they give you this digital camera and a light box and all this stuff. And so we had gone out there to get pictures for the Kickstarter, and that's what we were doing that day.
Yeah, and let me just tell you, she was rocking the outfit and repping for you, and I was like, that's love right there. That's love.
And that's the sweatshirt that nobody could touch.
It's hers. She's like,
right,
done. And and I say that because, you know, a lot of times spouses do support each other, but there's a level of, yeah, you know, I this is what they're doing and they're happy. And then there's a whole different level that she's on where she's like, I'm wearing the merch, I'm taking the pictures, I'm gonna be in the pictures, like this is what I'm doing, I'm sharing you know what I'm saying? So it's
straight up represent.
It's like regular spouses supporting her. This is like where she's at, and I love it. I live for it, and you know I'm a huge fan of hers because she just brings so much light and energy into. I don't even have to be in the same room as her. She can send me a text, and I'm like, it's her. She loves it. I love it. Now, fun fact: you and I have had birthdays just past. We were a day apart.
I didn't know that.
Mine is the 7th. Yours was on the 8th, Monday.
Yep, Monday. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you. Well, I made mine Facebook official.
I was gonna say, it's like you're fishing for happy birthdays right now.
I'm really not. No, I was gonna ask him, because he's been so busy with the Kickstarter, if he was able to actually like enjoy his day. I know it was a Monday and he was working at school and stuff, but were you able to enjoy a little bit, or were you just like knee deep in the Kickstarter and promoting?
I'm always in it, but I really celebrated my birthday. I actually did a whole weekend. So my wife made sure that, you know, I just told her, you know, don't tell me what you're making for dinner, you know, just do it up. And she made sure it was awesome the whole weekend and Monday.
That's
and
awesome.
One of my I can't even talk. One of the people that I used to work with sent me a Hershey cake, and that was awesome. We got about half of it left, and there'll be less this evening, you know. So
ours too. Don't even like, I've got cake still too, and I'm shocked I still have cake. But you see, you're the complete opposite of me. 2 weeks before my birthday, I'm like, this is what we're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and this is the cake that I want. Get it done. Leave me alone that day. Just give me my gifts. Tell me you love me and leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
But that's good that that she showered you like that. Like I said, again, she's such a great cheerleader to have in anyone's home, honesty.
Yeah. And we try to be like that both ways. I try to reciprocate that and make sure that I'm the same way with her stuff. So, you know, I think that's the key to everything.
Yeah, no, and it is true. It is. I know I boast about her because we're talking about your stuff, but I can 100% confirm that Jean is the same way, because I follow both of them on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, oh, I love them so much. Like, you guys are so cute together. It fits perfectly. I don't know. I'm a sucker for just niceness all around, you know, because in my relationship, Zach's the nice one, and then there's me.
And then
there's me. I am who I am. But as far as the Sunstrums, you said you already have basically 5 issues, correct? That you're trying to get out.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, there's a whole lot more. Okay. You know, I could write the Sunstrums for probably 3 or 4 more years. You know, but right now I want to concentrate on these 5 stories, make them really good, make sure that they look good, and get them collected, and then we'll see what happens after that.
A lot of times people tend to go on Comixology. Do you think you might go that route, or do you like doing the full independent route?
It's one of those things where I try to take everything as slow as possible. We're going to look into all those avenues, you know, but, you know, I just want right now, the first thing is just getting this first issue out the door, you know, and if we can look at some other distribution models or whatever, then, you know, if they work, then we'll try it.
I want to talk about that. Like, I like the fact that you do have goals. You have them set, but you focus on what's here right now in front of you, and then the next step after that, and then you go from there. Right. How does that help with organization and not setting yourself up for failure?
Because just like with the Kickstarter, and we only wanted to set a goal of $1,000, not because we didn't think we could get more than that. It was just the fact that, okay, I want to learn how Kickstarter works for myself by just doing something small, you know. And once I learn how it works, and then the next one can be bigger than that, and I can tweak some things that I felt like could have been done better. With any of it, I can just change it, you know, based on what happened the last time. I just feel like, you know, that's what works for me, doing things that way.
A lot of times people do try to focus on the end result and kind of miss stuff in between. Is that part of it too? You want to make sure that even if you don't do it right, that at least you're not missing anything. Am I
right? Because like I said, if you don't do it right, you're able to say, okay, what went wrong and what caused it to go wrong, and how can I change it the next time we do it? That's always the process for me. Even when it comes to doing a comic book page, you know, once I get the whole thing done and I'm looking at it, okay, this page works better than this one, and why, you know, so that's how I work.
I actually like that because I get caught up in the end result of things, and I tend to like either miss steps, and then I end up getting frustrated with myself. So I do like that you're able to have your overall goal, but focus on what needs to be done in order to eventually get to that goal. I think that's a good mindset to have. So all of you out there listening, that's like focus just on the end goal, like try to bring it back in a little bit and focus on the here and now, because that's what's gonna get it on and popping. So
I just say, you know, smaller goals add up to larger goals. That's kind of how it works.
I like that a lot. So tell everybody your social medias, which we will link in the description and comments.
Okay. Facebook is Sunstrom's Novel. You can also find me at Gene Willoughby II on Facebook. And then on Instagram is at Sunstrom's Novel.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited. And then, of course, we're going to link the Kickstarter. Everybody needs to go out there and get your Kickstarter like pledge, because I promise you, it's a good story. It's great character development. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I love the story. I love it behind it. I haven't even I've read the novel.
Right.
And God, it's been like 3 years.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons for the series, because we would go to shows and people would ask, like, where's the comic book? You know, and
it was me.
Yeah. You were one of them, yeah. And so, you know, they were like, I love the novel. Where's the comic? You know, and so we just said, okay, the comic is visual, and also the fact that I can do more comics than I can novels. Mm-hmm. You know, because if we start working on volume 2 of the novel, you won't hear from me until, you know, whenever, you know. So, but I can get more stories out this way, and so that's better.
Did the Sunstroms start off as like just novel, or did you have the intentions of always it being a comic book?
It was written as a comic book. I wrote it as my, I guess my thesis at Full Sail as.
Oh, that was the comic that you wrote.
Yeah, I wrote that. I wrote it then as a comic book, and it was 5 issues. And then I turned around and I wrote that whole script in the prose, and that became the novel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that because it somewhat reads like a comic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I didn't know if it was that you just had this novel and then it turned into a comic, or if it was always meant to be a comic and then you just had this and was like, let me really.
And that was an interesting process in itself, taking those script pages and actually turning them into prose. You know, that was something I didn't think you could really do, but I kind of figured it out.
You figured it out, like, as in
as in taking what was described in the panel descriptor and then turning it into the narration.
Okay.
And then, you know, it allowed me to flesh out some parts, because there were some parts in the novel that were not in the script at all.
Oh, okay.
And the novel allowed me to kind of flesh out some pieces, because, you know, when you do comics, you got to stick to a page count, you know, and so you end up getting rid of stuff that you wanted, but it's not necessary because you're trying to hit 20 or 30 pages, you know. And so I was able to go back and actually put some of that stuff in there that really fleshed out characters and let you know what their motivations were, you know, that was not actually in the script. So
okay. How do you balance writing and the art? Do you do just the art first, or just the writing first, or do you do a little bit of art, a little bit of writing? How do you manage that?
I'm still working that out, because because I can, if I start writing, I can write for days, and same thing with art. So what I'm trying to do now is actually have the whole outline done, so I know what's going on each page, and then go back and script the scene and then draw it.
Okay.
And that'll help. That'll keep me from getting bored, you know, either way, you know, or feeling like I hit a wall.
It keeps a little bit of variety in the mix, like you're
Mhm.
not just focused on one thing completely.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I've always wondered, because I can't draw for anything. Like if my life depended on it, it'd be like, oh well, because I can't draw. So I always wondered people who are dual artists and writers, how they manage both of that. And I know everybody's different, everybody's process is different, but I just wondered how that worked for you. And the coloring, or I guess it is called coloring, right? When you add the color.
Yeah. It is called coloring.
I don't want to disrespect. I don't want to disrespect, because, you know, some people are like, actually, it's called, and I'm like, I'm sorry, no, but
I call it coloring, so that's what it is.
does that all happens at the same time? Like you draw your character and then you add the color, or is it like you draw the character and then you write a little bit and you come back and color? How do you break that down?
I try to get. I have a book where I do all my pencil layouts, and I'll do them in there, and then I'll send it to my iPad. I'll get the pencils done on top of that, and then I'll ink it and get it cleaned up, and then I'll send it to Sketchbook Pro on my desktop and do the colors there. And I try to do all of that together without kind of breaking it up.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's actually pretty cool that you got you do it that way, because a lot of times a lot of people just use, I'm guessing you're using a bamboo tablet on your, not on your iPad but on your desktop.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
I like it a lot better for coloring than I did drawing. I used to draw with it, and I just didn't have the exact control that I wanted on it. And the iPad seemed to be a lot better that way for inking and pencils. But I still like the colors on Sketchbook Pro, and so I use my bamboo tablet for that, because I just love coloring on it. So.
Do you still end up doing like doodles everywhere, like you said? With
that's
a forever thing.
Yeah, I had a student ask me one day, and you never know what students are looking at. You don't. She came to me after class and she said, "Mr. Willoughby, why every time you draw something you throw it in the trash?" Yeah. I was like, I didn't realize you were watching that happen, you know. But she was telling me I ought to keep it. I was like, okay, I'll keep them. But they pay attention to it, and they always know Mr. Willoughby is drawing on the, you know, when they're working or whatever, and there's a moment of silence in class, I'll have a doodle going on the side of my page, whatever. They pay attention, and they come up to my desk and want to see and all that kind of stuff. So
that's exciting that you have that kind of influence on them, because it makes them, you know, realize that, hey, you know, here's Mr. Willoughby, and they obviously don't know you outside of class. You know, they think of you as just their teacher, but they see that you've put this time, put this effort, and you have a product that you can show for your efforts. Does that play in your head that, you know, in a way you are, you know, somewhat influencing their creativity?
A little bit. And the biggest thing I want them to see is that, you know, whatever your talents are, you know, there's an avenue for you to do something with it. And if you, like you said, if you're working hard and you really want to get it done, these are some of the things that you can actually do with your talent, you know. And like I had a student, this has been probably 2 years ago. She just came up to me and said, "You want to see my Halloween face paint?" And she showed me like a whole Instagram of like face painting that she had done, and she's like really good.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Like it's like, because she watches I forgot the show that comes on where they do that for the whole show and, you know, do the monster makeup and all that.
Oh, Face Off. Is that
yeah.
on Sci-Fi?
Yeah. She watches Face Off and she does it herself. She didn't think she was any good at it. She's just playing around, but she's really good.
Aww.
You know. And so I just try to tell kids and teach them that you can do with your talent what you want to do. You know.
That's awesome. That's so exciting, inspiring,
and don't hide it from people. That's the thing about it. You know, I spent a lot of time just saying, you know, this is just my thing and nobody wants to see this, and kind of talking myself out of it, and until I finally stopped talking myself out of it, you know. So
don't hide it and don't throw it away.
Yeah, and don't throw it
away. Right.
And that's actually a very, very good point, because a lot of us creative people, we have our own self-doubt where it's like, nobody wants to see this, nobody cares about this, like who even is going to pay attention type of thing. And you actually never know unless you give yourself that chance to put it out there and let people decide for themselves whether or not they, you know, care or not care. And 9 times out of 10 they do. They end up liking it a lot. So.
Imposter syndrome will kill you. And so I got to the point where I just tell that voice to shut up. That's it, you know.
Yeah, I can attest to that imposter syndrome. It sucks. It's just the worst thing in the world. It really is. But I'm glad that you were able to kick it in the butt and be like, no, I'm gonna do this. It's good. Because again,
my wife has a lot to do with it. I wasn't gonna go to Full Sail. You know, I wasn't gonna do any of it. And she was looking at my stuff and she was like, you better. And then I wasn't even gonna do my own artwork, you know. But it was her saying, why are you gonna pay somebody to do your artwork and you draw, you know? So she kicked me in the butt more than a few times, you know, to get out there. But that's who she is, you know.
Amazing. That's actually awesome. I never knew that. That's so cool. Aw, now I wish we weren't in a pandemic. I could hug her.
Well, virtual elbow bump.
Yeah, virtual elbow. Tell her you can hug her for me. Tell her that I love her, and we still need to have coffee together. We were supposed to have coffee, and then good old COVID happened. I was like,
if y'all can ever get together and she sees that Pac-Man game, you're gonna have something on your hands.
Oh, she's already she saw it and she was like, when can I come over? I was like, as soon as you're ready, girl. We'll Purell and Lysol it all up. We're good. She's already hit me up about it. I'm like, girl, it's waiting for you. It's waiting for you. Well, Jean, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show. I keep saying it because it's true. I'm a super fan. It's definitely it was an unexpected surprise when I first got the book 3 years ago. We have mutual friends and they were raving about the book, and I was like, okay, I gotta try and see it. And as soon as I was done, I was like, this is awesome. And of course, as I keep saying, I kept hitting you up like, so when's the next part? Like, when's happening? What's going on? Like, hey. So I appreciate you being here. I'm super excited for this Kickstarter. Guys, please go to his Kickstarter. Definitely pledge. You won't regret it. I promise you. Get the cup and then mail it to me, because that way it's a gift and everybody in my house won't get mad. As always, like, share, subscribe. Go to our website, issueswithshow.com or something along those lines. I'm just kidding, Jack. Just kidding. Just kidding. Check our Instagram page, the _breakdown_show. I'm there now. I've been banned from Twitter, so I'm on Instagram. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
You got banned.
I got banned. I'm not allowed on it.